Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I have my friend here, Azul.
Hey, hi.
And he's just published his book, JALAN. And we're going to talk about this book in this video. Let's do this. Hey guys, if you have watched my videos before, I have featured Azul many times in my POV street photography video. I have shot, I don't know, how many times have we shot together on the streets?
I don't know. Countless.
We have lost count how many times. And Azul is not just a friend, but he is an extremely talented photographer.
How much you want?
As much as I can take. Anyways, Azul has exhibited, had a solo exhibition for the National Arts Gallery. Which year was that, Azul?
I think it was 2018.
2018, it was just several years ago, and he was also featured in another group exhibition in KL 20 by 20 project.
Yes.
And he's very active in the photography community in Malaysia. He has just given a talk for Kuala Lumpur Photography Festival just last weekend. And recently he has just published this amazing photo book. I can't wait to flip through the pages of this compilation of Azul's amazing street photography images. So Azul, you love to do street photography.
I do.
And I love to show on the streets as well. Why do you love street photography so much?
Well, street photography for me, if I were to describe it in a word, exciting, right? Because you don't know what you're gonna get when you go out to shoot. You know, you're not in control of the weather. You might get good light, you might get bad light. And there could be situations where you're waiting for something to happen and it may never happen. And then alternatively, you could encounter something totally unexpected, which could provide you with some awesome images. The other thing that I like is that you get to meet strangers, you get to talk with people. And for me personally, when I go out a lot, I feel at one with the streets. To the point where if I don't go out for a long time, let's say 1 or 2 weeks, then I get restless. You know what they call cabin fever?
Yes.
Yeah? So that's why I love street photography.
So Azul, remember you had a holiday to UK and you took so many amazing street photographs there, and I told you that if you print those images in a photo book, I will make a video out of it.
Yeah. I remember.
You did it even better. So tell us what inspires you to create a photo book. I would love to hear it.
Okay, the idea of doing a photo book or photo books is something that I've been wanting to do for many years now. You know, going back to even before my exhibition you mentioned earlier a few years ago. That was supposed to be a book for that exhibition, but then things got delayed and COVID happened. Yeah, you know, the inspiration came because I found that the second half of last year and also the beginning of this year, I was shooting a lot, and I became more confident in the results that I was achieving with these photos, to the point where I told myself, okay, I really need to, do something with these images and make them into a book. I became very obsessive about shooting at night in the rain, rainy nights.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was the trigger that I wanted to compile this into a book. In terms of direction of the book or the style of the book, two photographers' books which come to mind are Daido Moriyama and Saul Leiter. So
legendary photographers.
Legends. So Moriyama, he produces this book or magazine called Record, which he produces 3 times a year, and so that that inspires me. Where he can just shoot and then print in a way. What I learned from him is the way he appreciates the mundane. Because he calls them snapshots. So it's the appreciation of the mundane, the things that you see on the street. Saul Leiter, master of color. What I'm learning from him and his books is actually the 2 books that I have, or I have 3 books. It's actually newer books which were printed recently, after his death. But the books, the style of the books in terms of full page, and it's got some quotes from him. So stuff like that is what has, given me all these ideas about doing my book.
This is the book, JALAN. Azul, it looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Tell me, what's the idea and concept that you have, what you have conceived in making this book?
First of all, let's start with the name, Jalan. So Jalan in Malay means street. It also means walk, to walk. And this is what you will see in this book. It's just pictures of me, of the streets while I'm walking, obviously. The other thing is, perjalanan, jalan, if you lengthen it to perjalanan, it means journey. So I hope that this, because this is volume 1, and hopefully next year I get to do volume 2 and so on. So for me, I take this book as a documentation of my journey through the streets. So the concept of this book is that these are images which I have selected, which represent a mood, yeah, what I would use, vibes of the streets. So it's not necessarily a collection of perfectly composed pictures, you know, and all this kind of stuff. It's more a feel to it. So what I hope readers would get when they flip through these pages, that they feel as if they're there on the streets of KL. That's the idea. It's a feeling that I want to convey with these images. Originally, this was supposed to be a magazine. It was supposed to be just, you know, a thin 50-page magazine, which I was planning on producing maybe twice a year. What happened was, I wanted to do things properly, and for a magazine, and you know, you need this barcode at the back, right? So for a magazine, it is called ISSN, and for a book, it's ISBN. So I wanted to do things properly to apply for this, so that I can print it on the book, right? I'm self-publishing this book. So for a magazine, you can't be a self-publisher and obtain the ISSN according to our national library, which is where we apply this from. So because of that fact, I changed the idea from a magazine to a book, because as a self-publisher, I can apply for the ISBN number, the barcode.
I personally have not published a book before. So the next question I'm really curious about, Azul, can you walk us through the entire process of making this book? From the idea, the draft, to the shooting process, the curation, photo selection, to the printing and publishing of the book. I want to know everything.
Okay. Okay. So I started working on the idea of this book earlier this year, and it was the images taken from last year and a lot from this year as well, which ended up in the book. It was the rainy nights phenomenon. You know, I told you I became obsessive with going out shooting KL at night in the rain. So that whole collection of images was what I wanted, you know, to be a big part of this book, and it became the main feature in this book. So from all the images that I put together, I've made this book, I made 3 sections within this book. One is about the rainy nights, one is called Transit, which is about the LRT and MRT, the public transport train system. So showing people going through, traveling through the train and the train stations. And then the third one is about a piece on black and white. So having selected and curated the images, I decided to also include what I consider some weaker images to balance the flow of the series. Because for me, if everything is a wow picture, then I don't know, it's a bit too much, I feel, you know. So I need to just balance it out. Having done all that compilation of images, I created a little mock-up, a tiny little mock-up which I printed at home, right? It's a small piece like that, and I fold it together, the pages, and it creates a small little book, so that I can flip through the little pages and see the flow, whether it works or not, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. The design and concept of the book is something which I did myself. I came up with that, and so with a little mock-up, you know, seeing things how they worked, I started to fine-tune things and worked on it, and until I was happy with the design. So when it comes to the printing of the book, what I did was simply Google search for printers around a specific area, which is Sri Kembangan area. Originally I went to another area which had a lot of printers, but I was told by someone that a more affordable option would be to search in the Sri Kembangan area, so which I did, and I found this printer and got some quotations from them, and then decided to. Originally, I wanted to do digital print at a lower volume, let's say about 100 to 200 copies, but having weighed the cost the balance, doing an offset printing, which is far superior quality, is but at a higher volume, like 500 copies. It just economically it was a better option to do that, you know. So that's what I decided to do, and then worked with the printer, gave them my files, and they produced a digital print proof first. And then after I was happy a few times, then gave them the final final files, and then they printed it, and it took 1 week to produce the book. Yeah,
the entire process is 1 week.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Making this book, I'm sure, Azul, you have faced many challenges or difficulties or bumps in the road. So can you share some challenges that you faced throughout the process of making this photo book?
Actually, there was only, for me, one main challenge, which was when I gave the printer my files for the first time, and they were giving me a digital proof printout. I found that their prints were slightly darker than what I expected, so that was an issue. And then, so what I had to do was, I had to re-edit all my photos to brighten them up a little bit. So that took some time for me. I think about 2 or 3 days just to edit those images. And there are not many photos in here. I think it's about 70 pictures overall. So that was the biggest challenge. But then I had to send them the files and had to reprint again, and ding dong back and forth. Yeah, until I was happy. But it was I remember during that period I was a bit stressed out, because it's very frustrating. You know, what you see on the screen, what you expect it to turn out to be, it's not. You know, so it was. In fact, when I fine-tuned it, when I adjusted the brightness, even then I wasn't sure whether I was doing it too much or too little. You know, so it was a bit of a groping in the dark kind of thing. But in the end, it all worked out well.
Making a photo book is a huge undertaking. There are many challenges and processes to go through, but I think at the end of the day, it is so worth it. Now, Azul, do you think that it is important to print as a photographer or to make a photo book? Do you encourage other photographers to do the same?
Yeah, the way I see it, I mean, as photographers, okay, let me give you an example. Let's say if you're a musician, take a musician, someone who sings and writes, and let's say an 18-year-old boy or girl in his bedroom, he writes and plays music and stuff like that. The end result of that, I mean, ultimate thing for him or her to achieve would be to release songs on Spotify, to make albums, to go on tour, to do concerts. Those are the end results of his artistry. And I see photography as very much the same thing. As a photographer, I know a lot of my friends, what they do is we all post on social media and Facebook and Instagram, and we get likes, and we get our friends saying, oh, awesome, nice.
Instant gratification.
So, but, you know, if you keep doing that, I mean, for how long are you going to do that? For me, you should be, as photographers, aim to do books and exhibitions. I think Malaysia, we're a little bit behind when we compare ourselves to other countries, you know, wherever like Japan or Indonesia, where the market, the photo book market or the photo book culture is quite strong and active, yeah. So I hope that we can grow and more people to be involved, and even publishers. Hopefully some of the local publishing houses, that they see the importance of the art in photo books, and then they would also give opportunities to photographers to publish books with them. That's my hope. Yeah.
I also think that by making prints, even a simple photo book, it doesn't have to be as extensive as this, a simple, say, 20 or 30 pages zine, it will help you as a photographer to learn about the curating process, the photo selection, you learn about how to do a project from start to finish, to have a strong concept and idea in the project. I think you'll learn so much more and grow as a photographer. And like what Azul has said, I personally also want to see more Malaysians publish photo books, and I want to see their photo books on the shelves of bookstores, or even get out of Malaysia,
Definitely.
somewhere else outside in the world.
Definitely.
One last question, Azul. How can we buy your book?
Oh yes, what an important question. So currently there are 3 ways you can get my book. First is directly from me. You can go to my Instagram. Is that an Instagram appearing here? Yeah. And just DM me, just message me. I can ship anywhere you want actually. The other 2 ways is actually there are 2 bookstores which are selling my book. One is Riwayat, riwayat.my, which is in KL, and one is Zone 3, which is in PJ. And I believe both these stores also ship internationally. So please do get a copy. If you want me, if you buy directly from me, and you want me to sign, please just let me know, and I'll do it. I'll be very happy to sign for you.
If you are a Malaysian street photographer, or if you are a Malaysian, please do support local artists such as Azul. Is so talented and deserves our support. And all the links on how you can get the book is in the description below, so check them out. Azul, thank you so much for spending time with this video interview. I think I've learned so much about the process of making a photo book. I never thought there was so much trouble in the printing where you want to get the brightness right. I've learned so much about your thought process on how to select the photos, to group them together in different themes, and how to make them flow. And I like the tip that especially on you don't put all the winners or all the best photographs, but sometimes you also put the lesser or the weaker photographs to make sure that there's a continuity or a flow when you look at, when you turn from one page to another. That's a very good tip that I hope some of you will learn from it as well. Is there any final words that you want to say to my audience?
Thank you very much, Robin, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Get a chance for me to talk about my book. This is the first time I'm being interviewed for this, so thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. And yes, so if you do want a copy, like I mentioned earlier, do get it.
Links in the description below.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, that's it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.